Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started this evening. We might have some people joining us here in a little bit. Just a heads up, we are recording this session because we do put these on our website afterwards for supporters that may not have been able to join us this evening. So hello, my name is Allison Lyon. I'm the Assistant Director of New Student and Family Programs for Georgia Southern University. And we are so excited to have you joining us this evening for our monthly family Zoom session on campus and community involvement and engagement. So we have some great professional staff from Georgia Southern joining us this evening that are going to share with you a wealth of knowledge about how your students can engage on campus, virtually, in our community, all of the above. But first, I want to talk about some rules about how you can engage with us this evening in utilizing the Zoom platform. So we are in what is Zoom's webinar platform. So the best way for you to be able to ask questions of our panelists as we go throughout the evening is there is a feature at the bottom of your screen that says Q&A. Do know that that will publicize that question for all participants to be able to see, and you can up-like it. If it's a similar question that you have, you can also say, yes, please prioritize this question. Each of our panelists will have a little bit of a formal presentation for you this evening, and then we'll leave time at the end for those questions. The chat feature this evening is primarily for us to communicate with you. So we have another staff member, Shivani Patel. She's our graduate assistant for parent and family programs, and she's in the chat. And if any of our presenters bring up some really great websites that maybe your students should be looking at or quick links, she'll make sure to drop that in the chat for you this evening. So before we get started, it would not be me and my department if I did not give a shameless plug for parent and family programs. So of course you found this event. Hopefully you found it through maybe Facebook. You could have found it on Instagram, our event webpage, maybe just from a friend, or the Eagle Family newsletter that's been coming out. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to engage as a supporter. And we want to make sure we cover how you can access that easily throughout our website. So easily enough, it's hard to remember websites a lot of the time, and where do I go? What was that link? So the easiest thing for you, if you go to georgiasouthern.edu, up at the very top, you'll see parents and families, and that will take you to everything that you need to be successful as a supporter and help your student. So you'll see on the left-hand side, there's quick links. That can take you to our Parent and Family Association, which is a I can't use words today, a membership dues organization that provides you great opportunities for local discounts, engaging with other supporters, and even scholarship opportunities for just your student if you are a member of that association. So definitely a great perk. And then there's also events. So that will take you to all of our monthly Zoom sessions, as well as Family Weekend that's coming up. So we have Spring Virtual Family Weekend. I know Memory Littles, who you'll hear from in a little bit, her department is helping us with one of our events also, but this is free to you. That is a great opportunity to take advantage of. The first 100 people that register get a free family t-shirt mailed home. And I can tell you we're getting really close to that number. So I hope you'll sign up soon, and you'll have access to all of the events for the full weekend and even get a discount at our university bookstore on their online website. So definitely check those things out. That same website with the events is where we will post the recording of this event when it's done. And you can access all the recordings that we've been doing since fall 2020 with a variety of different departments if you want to look into those as well. So I'm going to stop in this moment and take the opportunity to introduce our first speaker, who is coming from our Office of Leadership and Community Engagement. I'm going to welcome our director, Jody Kennedy, and let her take the stage.
Thanks, Allison. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can y'all see that okay? Perfect. Like Allison said, my name is Jody Kennedy. I serve as the director in the Office of Leadership and Community Engagement. And our office is here really to help students learn about their leadership skills and talents, how they can use those to benefit their groups and organizations as well as the community. So we're also helping students get plugged in locally through community service, as well as throughout the region and throughout the United States doing community service as well. So I just wanted to share a little bit of information with you, and I'm sure Shivani will drop our website into the chat for anyone who would like to follow up. Let's see here. So this is something that we always asked our students about, and I kept it in this presentation because I know it applies both to what I'm speaking about as well as to what memory speaks about. But we always ask our students what the value of college education does for them and how it's enhanced. And Memory and I are both going to be talking about how college education is enhanced by being involved in extracurricular activities and organizations. It's also enhanced by students who take on leadership roles, which are things that they can do both through our department as well as Memories department. Um, it's enhanced for students who apply opportunities that they're doing outside the classroom to what they're learning inside the classroom. So, getting some of those hands on practical skills that employers are looking for upon graduation. And also for students who work on projects that take a semester or more to complete. And again, those are all things that apply both to the Office of Student Leadership and Community Engagement as well as the Office of Student Activities. So, some ways that we do that in our office houses all of the service learning opportunities on campus. So, any course that a professor wants to include service in as a part of their curriculum, our office helps coordinate that for them. So, we have students who are actually our service learning facilitators who are helping the professor organize the service project. They communicate with the community partner. They help students prepare with any information or materials they need prior to going to do the service activity. And they also help with reflection when it comes to processing what the service did, how it benefited the nonprofit agency, and also how it applied to their classroom curriculum. We also have our Serve 912 program, which we love that all of our campuses are in the 912 area code because that's where Serve 912 is. Our Serve 912 program is our local community engagement program. We will help students get involved locally by providing trips every day of the week that are led by current Georgia Southern students. So not only do students have the opportunity to serve a variety of agencies in both the Statesboro and Savannah communities, but they also get the opportunity to meet other students who are like-minded and have an interest in serving our local communities. I love the Serve 912 program because one, it builds the relationship that we have with our local communities, but it also gives students a chance to try different agencies. If they come in knowing they like to do service but don't know who they want to serve, Serve 912 is doing everything from serving animal shelters to the food bank to Habitat for Humanity to after school programs. And students can really um, take a little road trip as far as what they want to do and what they want to see and who they want to serve. It's also great for students who are looking for experience for certain majors. So we have a lot of education students, for example, who will serve in the after school program because it gives them some hands-on experience with some different kids. DIRT is another one of our community engagement programs. It stands for Directors Immediate Response Team. And this is a group of students who have signed up to be on call in the event that our community partners need a last minute need filled. So it all stemmed from an opportunity when a local domestic violence shelter was donated a brand new playground for their children who were staying at their shelter, but they needed to have their old one removed the same day. And so we did a huge call for our students. They got there, they removed the play structure and helped install the new one. And it just started kind of stemmed a movement to where students are now on call for any immediate needs that our community partners need. And we have hundreds of students who are signed up for these text messages. So if your student is one who likes to serve and wants to know when an immediate need happens, this is a great way to join easily. Our final community engagement program is our alternative breaks program. So just like how Serve 912 serves locally, alternative breaks are really designed to get students outside of our local community to serve other communities in need. All of our alternative breaks are offered on every break from school. So in March for spring break, in December for fall break, and then again in May once classes have ended for the academic year before summer school starts. They go anywhere within an 8-hour driving distance. We've also done domestic flying trips. So students have visited Flint, Michigan. They visited San Francisco. They visited Dallas, Texas to serve communities. And we've also gone abroad. So everywhere from Jamaica to the Bahamas to Honduras, our students are serving everywhere. Each trip is based on a different social issue, and that's how the trips are advertised. So students aren't necessarily signing up to go to St. Petersburg, Florida to serve for a week, but they're signing up because they want to serve at benefiting a hunger and homelessness issue or benefiting an environmental issue, and then they find out where they're going after. The trips are very inexpensive, so our domestic driving trips are $165. Our domestic flying trips are $350, and our international trips are just around $600, and those are all inclusive for all of our students. Next, we have sustainability programs that lives in our office. Each student, if you did not know, pays a $10 sustainability fee. And so our office is the one that coordinates the campus programming that goes along with that fee. It's really designed to help campus become more sustainable and to help create awareness about and educate students, faculty, and staff on sustainability issues. There are some definite leadership roles within the sustainability program, including our eco reps who educate the residence halls on sustainability issues, how to be sustainable in their residence halls and apartments, everything from planting plants that can help beautify their apartments, but also improve air quality to recycling. We also have a speaker series that comes along with sustainability programs, as well as a really prosperous sustainability fee grant program. So if your student has an idea for a sustainability project that would benefit campus, they can apply for funding to have those projects fulfilled. This is everything from relighting buildings with LED lights to replacing water fountains with water bottle refill stations to we've had students who have applied for racks to hold skateboards. We have a skateboard population on campus. And so they applied for, put together a proposal, applied for the grant, and had that project funded. So a great way for them to again get some practical experience, especially if they are passionate about sustainability issues or studying environmental science. Our Southern Leaders Program is our nationally recognized co-curricular leadership program. There's only about 5% of schools through the United States that have a formalized leadership program for their college students, and Georgia Southern is one of them. We are extremely proud of the Southern Leaders Program. It's one that is co-curricular, like I said, so students take non-credit leadership courses, which means those classes are free and they don't count against HOPE. They're all based on self-leadership, so students learn about their values, personal leadership skills and talents, what they're good at, and then it builds on to collaborative leadership, so how to apply those skills and talents to their leadership in organizations, to groups, to teams that they may be a part of, and then it leads into a community leadership piece. So they can then learn how that their skills and talents can benefit the community around them. Again, we really value helping students learn how they can lead positive change, and the Southern Leaders Program is one way that they can do that. In addition to courses, they're doing a lot of group projects. There's a lot of community building within the Southern Leaders Program. For the first year, they're all a part of a peer coaching program that's led by other Southern leaders. So again, they get to be tight knit with a small group of Southern leaders and also with the rest of the students who are in their tier. For students who are currently Georgia Southern students, those applications will actually open in March, and they'll be, so if students want to apply for the spring semester, those will be available then. For students who complete the Southern Leaders Program, they get a leadership and service seal on their diploma, and they also receive a Southern Leaders medallion that they can wear at graduation. And these are those leadership courses I just mentioned. They are open to all students, not just Southern leaders. Students sign up on LEANs just like they would any other course. And LEAD 1000 is that self-leadership course. LEAD 2000 is the collaborative leadership course. And LEAD 3000 is leading for positive change, which is our community leadership course. Those are some things that we just have coming up with our alternative break program. And this is how you can stay connected with our office. Again, there's our website. Those are also all of our social media channels. So everything from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, we are active on social media and really trying to promote the work that our students are doing. So with that, I can hand it back over to Memory.
Yeah, Great. So we have next, we're going to have Memory Littles, our Director of Student Activities. Jody did like a beautiful segue in tying all of that together. Just remember, as you're sitting here thinking, if you're like, I have questions for Jody and things that she brought up, drop those into the Q&A feature and we'll make sure at the end, those questions along with those for Memory we'll ask. And Memory, take it away.
I'm going to share my presentation as well. Everyone good? You can see that? All righty. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Memory Littles, as mentioned, and I am the Director for the Office of Student Activities. I'm excited to be here with you all. It's dark outside. I'm looking out my window, but I feel like it's earlier in the day, so the energy level is still here. I just want to welcome you all to this presentation. Excited that you all are able to join us and you are taking an interest in your students' overall experience here at Georgia Southern, because we know that is very important for you all to be connected. As Jody mentioned, some reasons that are super important to make sure that your student is involved or engaged on campus, and that they're not just going to their classes and going back to their residence hall and not getting connected to anything or anyone on campus, is that we know that being involved on campus generates intellectual and social development through, whether it's an individual experience or it's a group experience. It provides learning experiences outside the classroom, as Jody mentioned, those co-curricular and extracurricular type engagement opportunities. It engages students so that they have a satisfying university experience and persistent graduation. So not only do we want your student to come here and, be enrolled and be in this environment, but we want them to have an overall sense of satisfaction and feel like they belong here and they want to stay here, as opposed to, coming here for a semester or a year and then deciding that they want to transfer to another institution. We want Georgia Southern to feel like home for your student. And then the last thing, it equips students with skills essential to success after college. Not to get into age or anything like that, but we know once upon a time, if you came to college and you left college with an amazing GPA and an impressive, transcript, then people were kind of reaching at you right out the door, wanting to offer you employment opportunities. But we know that it is equally important to develop the overall student, a more well-rounded student, so that they are prepared to enter into the workforce. So some of these engagement opportunities outside of the classroom are things that we help your student to, like I said, polish those who they are as an individual, because we know that they're great individuals already when you bring them to us, but we want to make sure that they're super polished by the time they leave Eagle Nation. And this image right here that is shown on the screen, that's actually the Office of Student Activities engagement model. So everything that we do within our office, any type of program, or if it's a workshop or anything, we try to make sure that there's a rhyme and a reason for what we do. So these are kind of this is our structure, our framework for our programming. So we want to ensure that, if your student interacts with our office, once they leave us, that they've been given the opportunity to develop a personal competency, that, you hear the cliche that sometimes students come to college to find themselves. It sounds cliche, but it's true. So we want to encourage students to kind of be individuals and come into their selves, and that whole concept of self-discovery. We also emphasize wellness, and we know that there is 8 dimensions of wellness. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on the overall wellness of your student. Peer leadership, inclusive excellence is a huge pillar and an area of importance for us as well. And community engagement. So we, again, want your student to be involved in the community, and not just sticking to themselves and what's familiar. Excuse me. So some engagement opportunities that are available for your student to connect with our office. We do offer a series called, we refer to it as SOLD, but it's the Student and Organization Leadership Development Series. And that helps us to help your students to, as I mentioned before, sharpen those competencies. So this workshop series, it happens all throughout the year, and it's not just closed off to student organizations. Any student can join us. We have athletes, we have just individual students that aren't even affiliated with a particular group that gets involved with this series. And the topics in this workshop series range anywhere from balancing your leadership and spirituality, right? Because we know that some of those things are things that students may struggle with, and they don't know that may not come natural to them. Or time management, we know that's super important for students. Conflict resolution, you name it, any type of competency that you would want your student to know. Budget management, being fiscally responsible. You know, we talk to students about money management, etc. So that's definitely an awesome workshop series to let your student know exists, so that if there are things that they're not getting in the classroom, they can sharpen their skills in that way, in addition to the leadership opportunities within the Office of Community Engagement. And then we have registered student organizations. Between each of our campuses, we have over 300 registered student organizations. You'll see listed, we have over 250 on the Statesboro campus, over 75 active organizations on the Armstrong campus. The only reason that the Liberty campus is not listed here is because it's kind of a newer concept. An official registered organization is a newer concept on our Liberty campus, but we're excited. We just did have a student organization to complete the process actually a couple of days ago. And so, you know, we're excited to expand and offer these student organizations to our students at the Liberty campus, because we know that no matter what campus you're on, you want to find some sort of connection to other students that have similar interests. So with all those organizations, we do have an online engagement portal that's called Eagle Engage. So your student is able to log in through their My Georgia Southern account and browse student organizations to get connected with. And if they know the name of an actual organization, they can, you know, type that in and actually search by alpha listing. If they don't know the name of an organization, but they know that they want to get associated with a particular type of organization, they can search by category as well. And so going into the organization types or the categories that are available for students to join, we have academic organizations. So it may be something that's directly tied to what your student is interested in majoring in. And so those are great opportunities, because not only are they applying what they're learning in the classroom through this organization and getting that hands-on experience, they're also able to connect with other peers that, you know, maybe can mentor them, or connect with faculty members that can mentor them through their program. So not just relying on an academic advisor who is also helpful, but connecting to someone, a mentor, or being able to mentor someone else in just a different way. We have creative and performing arts organizations, cultural organizations, honorary organizations and honor societies, professional organizations, which your student can get connected to an internship or a shadowing opportunity or something like that in the community through those organizations. We have service organizations, social action and political, social fraternities and sororities. And although social fraternities and sororities do have a separate office, the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life, because they are a registered student organization, they are equally part of our office. We have special interest organizations. One of the largest organizations on Georgia Southern's campus, which is a special interest organization, is our Humans versus Zombies. Very specialized population, but this organization has well over 1,000 students that have gained an interest or expressed an interest in this organization. And believe it or not, this is a common organization across, you know, the state of Georgia and across the nation. We have spiritual organizations if your student wants to get connected that way, and then sports-based organizations as well. So as you can see, so many different types of organizations and opportunities for your students to get connected with a registered organization. But if for some reason with over 300 organizations, your students still can't find their place, can't find their home, can't find that connection, we do offer the opportunity for them to create a legacy on campus, meet new friends, connect with faculty and staff members, and they can start their own organization. So that's kind of how we got to that number of over 300 organizations, because we understand that with over 27,000 students, even all those students are not going to have the same interest. So we do allow students to kind of branch out and, you know, create what they want to see on campus. So we do offer workshops in a process throughout the year for them to create those organizations and kind of blaze their own trail, so to speak, on campus. Bringing campus to life, other engagement opportunities. We do have within our office, we have our university programming board and campus programming that is part of the Office of Student Activities. And so I'm excited to say that I do have the fun job. While throughout our different engagement opportunities, I did talk about an engagement model and learning and things like that. Well, the reality is sometimes you just need something to disconnect you from all of the learning, right? Regardless of, even if it's not just you need a disconnect from the virtual environment. Sometimes you just need to let your hair down and just go meet some friends and socialize, because that's good for your overall, mental and social wellness. So to be honest, there's some learning that just does not happen in the Office of Student Activities. You may just come and interact with us and just have fun. And we truly want our students to be able to do that as well. As part of coming into yourself and enjoying college and having that overall sense of satisfaction and belonging is not doing every single thing that's super structured and everything that's based off of class and learning. Just something that's mindless entertainment. So we do give students the opportunity to connect with our office, whether it's through an employment opportunity. We do have some paid positions within our office, so these students are actually able to get paid to bring these exciting events to campus. They don't have to be a particular major. They don't have to have an exact interest in event planning or anything like that. We take everyone, any major, any classification, and that's just one of those developmental things that we know that we can teach students, how to read over a contract and look for language that might be binding, that might get you into, a situation later on. And so paying attention to those details, how to manage a budget. So it's not necessarily just about event planning. We're teaching them some of those other skills while they're, planning fun things for their peers. So we do have special performers, comedians, live bands. We do offer late night programming. So as an alternative to your student feeling like they have to go off campus to have fun and, maybe going out to a bar or something like that, we offer different things right here in their backyard on campus so that it's walking distance. So if your student doesn't have a car or anything like that, they don't have a problem getting to our programs. We don't charge students so that you don't have to worry about sending them money to get into this program that they really want to go to. They can walk, it's free, and 9 times out of 10, we're going to feed them. So those are things. And then we also try to make sure that with our programming, we're offering things that students don't have an opportunity or may not have had an opportunity to experience any other time. So what better environment than to do this as you're learning, like, the things that you like and making new friends. And as you can see in some of these photos, we've had students that have never competed in a pageant or competitions like that. And so they were able to, compete in maybe a homecoming competition. Or the bottom left picture, you'll see, this is South Georgia, Statesboro, Savannah, Hinesville. It does not snow. I'm originally from Germany, so I'm used to snow. I don't understand this whole concept of a hot winter, but, some students may not have ever gotten a chance to ice skate. So we brought an ice skating ring to one of our campuses. The bottom right photo is that we know that not all students have the opportunity to travel. And so after, they've survived the fall semester and we've got through classes and we've done all of our finals and everything and passed those successfully. Not now, because we want to make sure that we're keeping all of our students safe, but before COVID, we used to do an annual winter break trip to New York. So that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. The cost was less than $500 for students. It was for an entire week in New York. As an adult, you will never go to New York for the rest of your life, for less than $500 for an entire week. So again, just trying to create those new experiences so students can, explore different things while they're in a more comfortable and a safe environment. And as Allison mentioned earlier, we do work with the Office of Family and Parent Programs to plan our family weekends, and we do one in the fall and then we do one in the spring as well. So look for information on that. It's definitely a good time. It'll look a little bit differently here in the spring, but maybe if we get back to the chance where we can have some more in-person programs for you all, then you all would be able to come and visit our beautiful campuses and participate in those programs. And just in general, our office does over 100 events annually. So your students truly have endless opportunities to kind of just get out of, their residence halls, or if they live off campus, or even if they are commuter students, we offer programs during the day or in the evening. So just trying to offer a different myriad of programs so that, they're not just catered to one type of student. You don't have to live on campus to be able to come to our programs. So those are some things. And that's pretty much the Office of Student Activities. I did not, unfortunately, Jody's so clever. She put her social media on here. I did not include our social media, but our office is also very active on social media. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. You can follow OSA, GSU, or our University Programming Board if your student wants to follow our students because we're not that cool and they want to connect with their peers. GSUPB on all social media. And we would love to hear from you. Let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to call us, visit our website, or follow us on social media.
Great. Thank you, Memory. Memory always brings the energy in the evening that I need. It's like she must have just drank a cup of coffee, and that's awesome. So what we're going to do at this time, we're going to go into our Q&A time. This is time for those of you that are here as our participants. So remember, as we mentioned, the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen is how you can submit questions to our panelists. I could ask questions all evening, but I want it to be things that you specifically want to know about. So make sure you drop those in there. But I will go ahead and get us started while you ponder the world's biggest questions that you have. So we know out of both of your offices that you do a lot of events. I don't think we could ever deny that. What is that looking like during COVID? And what are those opportunities, maybe virtual versus how often are in-person events happening at this time?
I can go first. Our events changed a little bit, partly because, especially with wanting to get students into the local community to volunteer, some of our community partners also had restrictions to where maybe they weren't as comfortable receiving large groups of students, or they didn't need the help as much as they once did. They shut down a lot of times in March. Why do we shut down? So our Serve 912 program in the fall was mainly virtual. And so we had service kits basically set up to where students could come, pick up all their supplies, do a service project that benefited a local agency, and then bring the projects back to us, and we would get those delivered to them. Serve 912 now is back up and running on both campuses. In a non-COVID environment, we have traditionally provided transportation for students, and that's the one thing that's missing from Serve 912 currently. So students will meet us at agencies, but they'll still serve their 2 hours. They still have some safety regulations and restrictions in place. So we're wearing masks, we're social distancing, and doing all of those things to make sure that our students are safe as well as our community partners that we're serving are safe. So those are happening. Alternative rates also look a little bit different right now because of travel restrictions and safety guidelines. So we've actually shifted the program to be a stay break. So students are still getting all the aspects of an alternative break. They're getting the education pieces about the social issue. They're getting to serve. They're getting the reflection and the community building with their peers. They're just doing it in our local communities. So we have our first stay break in Statesboro this weekend, and we're hosting one for the Armstrong campus in March during spring break. And potentially one more later in the spring for the Statesboro campus. So that's something that students can sign up for and get a taste of an alternative break, but they'll just be staying locally and providing their own transportation.
That's awesome. I know I got to work with a group that did an alternative break, and it was literally the highlight of my year. So I'm so glad to hear that they get to do a stay break. That's a really creative way to approach it. What about you, Memory?
So within the Office of Student Activities, we know that students are looking for those ways to connect. And so, at first we did think about, well, maybe we need to completely transition everything to a virtual environment. But in talking with our students, we know that, you kind of get cabin fever. Like we're all social beings. So we kind of want to make sure that we are still able to get that college experience. So with our programs, we did switch some things, like some of our workshops and things like that. We switched those to a virtual environment, so students are still able to get that leadership development virtually. And we do offer a few virtual programs, but most of our programs, honestly, have been in person. And we just decided to go for it and just have faith in ourselves and that we would do the right thing to keep our community safe. So we have had to change up the way we do things with our program. So before a student actually participates in an in-person program, we have changed the capacity, for instance, for how many students can participate at one time. So rather than on average, us averaging 200 to 300 students at every single program, we have decided that it may make our days and our nights a little bit longer, but we have decided that the value of giving those students that experience outweighed, the fewer hours of sleep that we get, so or us having a longer day. So we have decided to, instead of again having 300 students in one venue at one time, we break it up, and then we have events in waves. So it may be the same event, and it may have been traditionally for an hour or 2 hours. Now that same event may span over a time frame of 6 hours, but it's so that we can get a smaller number of students in there, give them time to transition out. We can sanitize everything in between the next wave, and then allow the next group of students to come in. Other safety measures that we've put in place is that we do encourage our students to use the Live Safe app. So to even participate in our events, we want to make sure and affirm with students, like, are you feeling okay today? Go ahead and do that health screening through the Live Safe app. Communicate to us that you're not exhibiting any symptoms, and that you're safe to be here, you're okay to be here. And then we do have a pre-event like registration / check-in. So that's kind of helping the university with any type of contact tracing. So what happens in that process is students, they scan a QR code and go on to like a registration form, or we check them in with their Eagle ID. And then we have like participation expectations that are posted at the event, or something that they can go online while they're waiting in line to enter the event. And that just kind of says like, hey, listen, COVID is still very real. Our expectations for you we want you to come in and have fun, but we need you to keep your mask on. We have went out and made sure that there are hand sanitizing stations throughout this entire event. You won't be able to turn a corner without seeing hand sanitizer. So we want to make sure that you're keeping your hands clean, keep your mask on, keep things socially distant. So we've really had to get creative with the layout and logistical planning of events to ensure that they are still having those opportunities. And like I said, adding waves or the frequency in which we do events. We've done a lot more outdoor events when weather permitted as well, because that allows us to spread out a lot more. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I mean, we've seen great attendance on campus. We've gotten great feedback through our evaluations from students. So we've had pretty good success with our in-person programs.
I appreciate the safety measures that you're putting in and how much attention to detail your staff is giving, because we know that our students want to engage in person, but we also want to do it safely. So I really appreciate that. So our supporters are really active on Facebook, which is a great thing. I love it. So I get to see a lot of questions on a lot of things that they're asking. And one of the things that I've been seeing a lot lately, their students are receiving emails from a variety of honor societies. Might be right because they're on the dean's list or the president's list, and huge congratulations to them. But there's been a lot of questions about how to know if one of those is legitimate, or if there's anybody on campus that can help a student look into that a little bit more before maybe they pay a cost to join or whatever that may be. Any insight?
Absolutely. And I would always offer my office as a go-to resource if they have any questions. Not necessarily all honor societies don't necessarily register with our office. However, we would be willing to, help that student look into those things. We would look over the letter with them, see where it's coming from, maybe reach out to a faculty or staff member in that particular department and kind of do a little tracing there, tracking for them. Because you're right, we don't want students to, obligate themselves to something, or sign up for something, or financially obligate themselves to something that's not a real or recognized organization on campus, or a reputable organization on campus.
And there's a couple, of course, that I know reached out, and they are recognized organizations and have student chapters with Georgia Southern. So your student can also look that up, as well as take that organization name and put it into Eagle Engage and see if you find that, because there might be a student chapter on the campus as well. And as Shivani just said in the chat, again, I could ask questions all night long, but I would love for you to ask some questions. So please put those in. Trying to go off of things that I've heard on the Facebook platform a little bit, and other emails that we get. So a lot of the times we get asked, especially now, I think COVID threw a monkey wrench in everybody's work environment, home environment, personal, but we get asked a lot of questions now about, could a student join an organization on a different campus? So if it's maybe a Statesboro-based campus, have those opportunities arose now that maybe they can kind of join more virtually?
That all of the membership to an organization is really up to that individual organization. We don't have an overarching policy for all organizations, for all members. We have post-consolidation. We did have a few organizations that decided on their own accord that they wanted to just have one chapter and, across all campuses, and they would just function as one organization. But then there were some that have decided that although that they would have some consistencies within their organization, they still wanted to have their separate campus specific things. So I would encourage a student, if they saw an organization that they were interested in and it wasn't offered on their quote unquote home campus, to go through Eagle Engage. There's contact information for our organizations. If you can't find it, again, contact Office of Student Activities and just ask them, what does membership look like for your organization? What are the requirements? Am I able to do that? I think the biggest thing in my heart of hearts is that I would want a student to consider, if they did join an organization on an opposite campus, one of the first questions is asking what is expected of me. So there's an expectation for them to travel for meetings or things like that, just exercising caution and being safe on the road and thinking about the frequency and the times of these meetings as well, to determine if they wanted to join one on another campus.
Yeah. It sounds like Judy's one of our PFA Family Council members. Judy's asking if you maybe know offhand if there's an accounting organization and how would her student find out information about that?
Yes, we do actually. And again, if your student would go to Eagle Engage, they can just type in accounting, or they could go to academic or professional, and it should narrow it down that way for them.
Yeah, and so just a reminder, their Eagle Engage is in their My Georgia Southern portal. So when they get in there, literally the best thing to do in the Georgia Southern portal is just use the search up at the top versus trying to find what panel something lives in. So they can just type Eagle Engage real fast and it will pull up as well. Great question, Judy. So a lot of the times, students, right, in some of their language might say that there's nothing to do on campus, and you're nodding because you know why I'm saying this, right? There's nothing to do. And from a supporter side, right, and they're trying to have these conversations with their students, what's maybe some advice that you have of how, without doing it for them or finding things for them, a good way to encourage them to get connected and look into those different things?
I would say just look around. Like we have heard from a lot of our students that the best way that they're finding out about information is flyers on campus, which we thought that was kind of an outdated way to publicize, but they're like, no, that's how we find things out. We also do a weekly newsletter out of our office, which I know Memory's office does something similar. And so that has the most current and up-to-date opportunities. So it might not be a Serve 912 experience, but an agency contacted us and needs help that weekend for an upcoming event. And so we post all of those things there. And so I think social media is a place to live as well for students. And we know that they're already on there. So if they're following the right pages, if they know that they're interested in things, then that also has current information. But my biggest piece of advice would just be to take a leap. I know sometimes it can be nerve wracking if maybe they're not doing it a volunteer experience or a class or something with a friend, but they just want to try it. And that's what I love about Southern Leaders and like some of our programs is that they're really student led. And so they have an opportunity to get to interact with their peers that they might not have met otherwise. And so just to take a chance and try something, and like with Serve 912, they can try it once. And if they just don't really want to play with animals, they want to go work with people or something like that, then they don't have to do that trip again. They can try something else. So it's really a low commitment as far as being able to try different things.
I echo that, what Jody said about just looking around, because there are, we do have digital signage, but we do still have the old school bulletin boards, and we never underestimate the power of a flyer on a bulletin board. Students still look at that. And, just from my office specifically, as Jody mentioned, we also do a weekly newsletter that goes out every single Monday called Opportunities for Involvement. And that does include things from campus departments, other student organizations, and then we also have a section in that newsletter for community involvement. So if someone in the community contacts us and they are looking for, tutors for an elementary school or something like that, those things are outlined in that newsletter as well. Eagle Engage is always a good go-to to look for things. The university's campus calendar is a great resource. Just walking in buildings sometimes too, where Jody's office is over in the Russell Union, the student union. Everyone knows where Chick-fil-A is. So if you don't exactly know where the Office of Leadership is, find Chick-fil-A and you're in the general area. And then if you're looking for the Office of Student Activities, on the Statesboro campus specifically, once you found Chick-fil-A in Jody's office in Statesboro, just walk out the back door and come, kind of diagonal, and then you'll find us in the Williams Center. On the Armstrong campus, same thing. If you're in the general area of Chick-fil-A, just kind of go a little bit to the right, and you'll end up where the Office of Student Activities and Leadership is in the Student Union on the Armstrong campus, the Russell Union on the Statesboro campus, the Williams Center on the Statesboro campus. Liberty campus, we don't actually have offices there, but again, look around, digital signage, flyers, walk-in offices, just ask someone like, hey, who can I talk to? We also do mobile offices. So, we have tables on the Statesboro and Armstrong campus. On the Armstrong campus, it's typically on Wednesdays or Thursdays. And we just, pull up a table, and it's different parts of campus. We might be at the rotunda one day, we might be at a dining hall one day. And it's just that, to tell people about things that are coming up and a new initiative that we're going to start with our, we have an organization in our office called the Organization Leadership Consultants. And we are looking for them to start serving as true engagement connectors, so to speak. And so they will do some mobile offices, and their overall goal is to just stop the student like, hey, are you involved in anything? Are you interested in getting connected with an organization? Do you know this program is coming up? And so it just would be that they just have a table and some information, and tracking students in different places, because we know that not all students are around the student union on their respective campus, like especially if they're juniors and seniors, they may be on one end of the campus, and that's usually when we hear people say there's nothing to do. Yeah, that's usually because most of the information is on this side, so we're trying to expand, on other parts of campus.
I'm going to start using the Chick-fil-A description of how to get to Jody. I have not used that. I also appreciate if you have an Armstrong student, and this is a recent change, that both Jody and Memory and Fraternity and Sorority Life, they are all in one suite. So if a student doesn't know what department does what, they just need to walk into that suite on the second story of the student union. Like, that makes me so happy. It's the easiest way on that campus to get a student engaged or connected. And if they don't do something, they will find out who does, which is really awesome. Judy has asked, speaking of the Russell Union, my student tells me it's closed on the weekends. Why is that?
It is closed on the weekends. Memory, if you have something to add, please jump in. I know a lot of the larger programming spaces in the Russell Union have been turned into academic spaces so that our students can have those in-person classes that they've been desiring. And so I think that might be one reason. Also, our Starbucks and Chick-fil-A that are in the union are not open on the weekends. And so without having programming spaces that readily accessible, and also without having dining facilities, I think that they're really just trying to save some of those resources when it comes to keeping the union open and staffing it. I know also that our facility staff works very hard on the weekends to deep clean the union space. And so having the building closed gives them some opportunities to come in and make sure that all of the restrooms and handrails and everything are properly sanitized before the week starts again on Monday.
So a question on universities' thoughts on parents visiting campus and their students, campus facilities such as the RAC, the student union. Todd, I can share, of course, with the residence halls, if a student lives on campus, we can't have guests in the building. However, I'll defer to Memory and Jody that might know a little bit more about you coming to engage on campus at the RAC or the student union.
I've still seen a lot of parents on campus, especially campus tours are still coming through the Russell Union. Again, there is a mask requirement for buildings and being indoors on campus. So as long as you have a mask, then I think parents are more than welcome to come and meet their students on campus, eat lunch, all of the above. So I've still seen a lot of visitors on campus through this.
I agree. I was going to say probably at least twice last week I saw a parent walking their student to class. Like I saw a dad walking his daughter, they're still visiting.
And I do know, I think historically, and in memory, Jody, correct me if I'm wrong here, historically, the RAC has offered memberships to our community members and things like that. At this time, they're not doing that due to COVID and trying to make sure our students can access our facilities since, not as many people can be in there at the same time. But they do hope to get that back up and going. I think like we hope to get a lot of things back up to the full in-person like we used to do as well. Those are great questions. Feel free to drop any more in there. We have a couple more minutes. One of the things that we get asked a lot as well is what for a first year student, right? So first year student coming in, is it incredibly important for them to get involved right away? We've got some parents that vocalize to us a lot, right? Like they need to work, or I'm concerned about them balancing academics first. What is your advice as the professional staff in those departments of how you talk to incoming students that maybe are in their first year about getting involved and balance?
I think for us, one of the main things that we say when we have our in-person visitations, we always tell students, like, there's a lot of different ways that you can get involved. There's, so many organizations, there's events all the time. Like it's a lot to take in. Me personally, as memory, I always recommend to students, like, yes, I'm an advocate for engagement. However, it can be overwhelming too if you try to do too much. So I recommend students at least get in here, your first semester, at least give it a semester, if not your first year. Like get your feet planted, understand what it means to get up in the morning without someone coming in your bedroom to wake you up, and just kind of figuring out like your schedule and how to adult that first semester or year. And then, in the meantime, you can, research these different things that you want to get involved in, and then just gradually start adding things to your plate. But don't try to do everything at once, because just transitioning from your home environment, whatever that may be, to a new college environment and trying to do that and a new schedule, and then trying to take on too many engagement opportunities, it can get very overwhelming and mentally taxing. So we definitely don't encourage that. We want to see them at programs. We want to see them in organizations. We want to see them start organizations, but not if it means compromising mental health.
I would 100% agree with memory. We see a lot of students in our office who, especially being a leadership office, they come in and we have students who are so involved throughout their high school careers and like, I can do the same thing. And they don't think about the changes that may be coming with their academic courses. We have a lot of students who learn lessons in time management their first semester, sometimes very hard lessons. Sometimes they realize they're great at it, but I completely agree. Like, I think the first semester, especially, is one where students have the flexibility to test the waters, go to some student activities events or go do a service trip or do something in their residence hall. Housing does a lot of intentional programming in their first semester to make sure students are getting out of their rooms and interacting with each other and getting to know campus and the local community. And so just like maybe do some of these one-off events that gives them a little bit of experience and lets them kind of get a feel for what college life is like, and then let them decide what they're really passionate about. Whenever students come to us and they have a laundry list of activities that they're involved in, I usually ask, okay, but what's the most important one? Are you good at all these things, or what are you really great at? Like what means something to you? That's honestly, like when we talk about employers and students applying for jobs after graduation, those are the things that they're going to talk about in their interviews. And those are the things that employers are going to want to know about. So it's not necessarily the number of things that they're involved with, but the quality of things that they're involved with and what skills and learning they're really taking away from those activities.
Yeah. And one of the things I'll make sure, so if you're not following us on Facebook at GSU Family Programs, I actually got this question about a day ago, so I'll make sure I put a link on our page. You heard earlier Memory mention that social media is a really great place. As your students are on there, right? But sometimes you heard the statement like following the right departments. That can be hard. How do you know which departments if you don't know them, right? So there's actually a list that Georgia Southern has of social media for departments. So I'll make sure I post that on the Family Programs Facebook page, because that might be a really great way. One, if you want to give a follow, right? So you can do a little nudge, nudge. I heard this is happening. But also that way, in case you know something your student might be really interested in, you can share on their social media as well. Because I know I saw that list and I was shocked. I didn't realize we had that many social media platforms, but we're trying to reach you wherever you are, or at minimum, just a little bit. All right, well, I don't see any more questions coming in, which doesn't mean that we're done. We can hang out for our next couple of minutes. But as we wrap up, just a reminder, so we do have Spring Family Weekend coming up very soon. That's March 5th through the 7th. It is virtual. First 100 people get a free Family Weekend t-shirt. So definitely sign up on our website. We didn't overlap any programs. So you could actually attend every single event we have happening throughout the weekend. And you get free access, no charge. And Family Weekend, we usually have to charge a little bit. So we're excited to be able to do this for you. We also have 2 more family Zooms this semester. So we're going to have academic affairs and faculty coming up soon in March. And then in April, we will actually have housing joining us as well. So definitely sign up for those. So thank you for joining us, and thank you to Jody and Memory for being here this evening. We hope you have a great night. And if you have questions, we will hang on for just a couple more moments, but have a great night.